Hey, thanks for joining me. In this session, I'm going to show you how to make the most of your website design and CTAs to amp up the urgency and keep your audience motivated to give throughout NewsMatch. I'm Pia. I'm the Audience Engagement Specialist at News Revenue Hub. Among other things, I help newsrooms develop strategy around their website CTAs. So what am I talking about when I talk about CTAs? I'm referring to calls to action. So any element on your website that encourages visitors to take an action. So today I will be focusing on donate CTAs that encourage your audience to make a donation. In the next few minutes, I'm going to talk through when, where, and how to create messages that strategically intensify urgency throughout your NewsMatch fundraising campaign. At the end, I'll walk through an example CTA plan that I might make for a newsroom. And if you haven't seen any of my last NewsMatch webinars, I encourage you to check out the webinar on driving donations with site CTAs. It just has more best practices on placement and donor versus non-donor segmentation, and has a tutorial on actually building a donate CTA. So it's not required viewing, but it does offer more guidance. So when we think about amping up the urgency throughout NewsMatch, what I mean is paying special attention to these 4 critical periods of your campaign. So I call them critical periods. They are the kickoff, any big update like a match being met or raised, Giving Tuesday and local giving days that are specific to your community, and the last 24 to 48 hours of a campaign. Why are these so critical? These are the times that lend themselves to time-bound urgency. So that time-bound urgency, those deadlines motivate readers to give now. Newsrooms ask me how often they should be updating CTAs during NewsMatch. I think paying attention to these critical periods is a good guide. So that would be about a minimum of 3 times over the course of NewsMatch. So during match updates, Giving Tuesday, end of campaign. This not only capitalizes on the critical periods, but it ensures that your readers' eyes aren't glazing over the CTAs over the 2-month period because you're keeping them fresh. So ideally, I would update CTA copy and design more than 3 times, but I'll break that down at the very end when I show the sample plan. I'm going to go into a few examples of different levers you can pull to emphasize urgency on your website CTAs, but before I do want to emphasize that you don't have to deploy every kind of CTA all at once continuously for 2 months. In fact, it's more strategic to slowly increase urgency from beginning to end and then intensify during each critical period. And it's more sustainable for your bandwidth as well. In general, I think of CTA writing the way that I thought about reporting a story when I was a reporter. So what is at stake here? The NewsMatch period is great because it does create natural time-bound stakes. So consider that in every area of your copywriting. Maybe in your donate pop-up during Giving Tuesday, your buttons say donate now. We can also think about this in general when writing CTA copy. So for example, with capital B, we landed on this high stakes language for the kickoff pop-up, Black stories are disappearing, because as the campaign was ramping up, we were talking through the federal government removing historical information about Black Americans from government websites. So consider what is at stake in the area that you cover and what is an appropriate way to phrase that throughout different points of your campaign. One low-lift update to start with: once NewsMatch kicks off, update the copy that you normally have on your website around donate CTAs. So for example, the forward normally runs this donate unit at the end of articles. If you also have a long form end of article unit, refresh the copy for your kickoff stating your goal and your deadline. You can also do this on your donate page. You can also do this on if you have a static donate CTA on your homepage, feel free to play with language there as well. One question that I get asked by newsrooms is if you have to state a goal. And to that, I would say that the benefit of the goal is that it creates your finish line. So it does help emphasize urgency because your audience is working towards something concrete. And I think stating your goal becomes more important towards the end as you're getting closer to it. In your kickoff, you want to turn on CTAs that aren't normally on, such as an above header banner. You should be running a newsletter sign up pop-up throughout the year, but during NewsMatch, you'll want to convert that into a donate pop-up. So some organizations are hesitant around pop-ups because they are a more intrusive design element. I would say do not be afraid of this powerful tool. I have seen pop-ups perform extremely well for newsrooms without harming traffic. I think NewsMatch is a more than appropriate time to pull out that center overlay. Just be judicious about it. For example, turn off your newsletter pop-up when your donate pop-up is running. Don't run two at a time. And if you use NewsPack or another platform that allows this, you can limit showing pop-ups to current donors so that it's focused on non-donors. One effective tool for upping the ante is turning on a thermometer. This shows progress, it shows social proof, signaling to the readers that their neighbors are contributing to this fundraiser as well. Newsrooms also often ask me, how do I update thermometers? Do I need to hook it up to Salesforce and hire a developer? And no, you don't need to do any of that, thankfully. Ahead of NewsMatch, I recommend creating multiple static thermometer graphics representing the halfway point to your campaign, the 3/4 point, and then the 98% point, and just upload them manually so you don't have to do anything fancy. Countdowns are also extremely compelling. They are dynamic and eye-catching. They are an explicit expression of time-bound urgency. So this example pictured here is from LAist, a public media organization. To create this pop-up, they used Opt-in Monster, and the countdown was set up as an exit intent overlay. So when a reader tries to click away or try to X out of the tab, this pop-up appears. If your site allows this, no problem. Or if your site doesn't allow this, no problem. You can also use copy to create a countdown like this example from EdSource. Emphasizing matching funds is really compelling because it is a lucrative opportunity for readers to double their impact, and also usually sets a deadline. And finally, share when you're close to meeting your goals, whether that's a one-day Giving Tuesday goal or if you are setting a stretch goal. I cannot emphasize this enough. Please preview everything on mobile. Most of your readers are coming in through mobile, so please design CTAs responsively and responsibly. Now I'm going to walk through a proposed timeline for a CTA plan. So I usually tailor these plans for the newsrooms I work with and their tech, and I draft copy with them, but please feel free to use this as a jumping off point for your own CTA strategy for NewsMatch. I would designate a kickoff period. So in this example, it would be about the first 2 weeks of November. Have all of this copy ready in October so that when come November 1st, you can just go into your CMS and flip a switch. Update your regular donate CTAs and also turn on those two special eye-catching CTAs that you might not usually have on. So your above header banner and a donate pop-up. Mid-November tends to be a quieter period because it's after your kickoff and before Giving Tuesday. So at this point, you can turn off the above header banner because you'll want it to be noticeable when you turn it on again. Here, update your pop-up copy, and if you have a static donate CTA on your homepage, update that as well. Giving Tuesday is your second critical period. Turn on that above header banner again, announce a match if you have one. One thing I encourage newsrooms to do on Giving Tuesday, just to raise the stakes, is to set a one-day only goal. So again, this can be a dollars raised goal, this can be a first-time donors goal. Definitely make sure to capitalize on that momentum of such a big giving day where I see a lot of donations come in. If you are able to deploy a pop-up with a countdown, do so on Giving Tuesday. But if your CMS doesn't support countdowns, turn on one pop-up in the morning and then activate the next one in the evening to really hone in on the urgency. You survived Giving Tuesday! So like mid-November, mid-December can be a quieter period, but that doesn't mean that you're losing momentum on CTAs. You've probably made some great strides by now, so show off your progress with a thermometer. You've made it to the final stretch. You are playing the final countdown song. You're playing Eye of the Tiger. Do not lose steam on your CTAs. Now is the time to deploy that thermometer that is inches away from goal. Now is the time to turn on your most urgent language in your pop-up. If you are able to pre-schedule CTAs before everyone leaves for vacation, you can do a final stretch for those last 2, 3 days before the end of NewsMatch. And finally, to recap, make sure to pay attention to the 4 critical periods to capitalize on the momentum of a giving day or a deadline. Consider what is at stake for your community and work that into your CTA language. And finally, if something isn't working, don't be afraid to pivot. That, that is the sort of the beauty of CTA design. You can always change it. If you're able to use tracking links to see how individual donate CTAs are performing, I strongly recommend implementing them so that you can see what copy, what design is driving a lot of donations, what you should lean into, and where you might be able to adapt. Thank you so much for joining me on this CTA marathon, not sprint. If you have any questions, you can direct them to this hello@newsmatch.org email. And take care. Bye.